Why do we need to study Western civilization? And especially why do we as Americans need to have a firm grip and understanding of where we have come in Western heritage? It is because our whole system of government that provides freedom and liberty to all and justice for all is based upon the developing of this form of government through many centuries and against much opposition for a very lengthy period of time. And so there is no need of reinventing a wheel which has taken many centuries to develop and many centuries of fighting many battles against those who would oppose it. We need to understand where we come from and how we arrived at the system which we have now, and what its roots are in Judeo-Christian heritage. Its roots are in the Ten Commandments, the Jewish tradition, and what were its roots in the Greek heritage and in the Roman Empire and the type of government the Roman Empire had, and how that was the original beginnings of our form of government, a combination of the Greek and the Roman. And understand how we built more and more upon that until we arrived at the form of government we have now. Developed clear up until we developed a parliamentary system, which then was transported to America and built upon again into the system we have of government now. It's very important we understand this and understand that it was not a simple process and it didn't take place in a short period of time, and it can't be replaced in any short period of time, nor does it need to be. We need to understand these things before we just willy-nilly think, well, we could form a better system that would take care of people better. But yet, the system of government we have now has provided more freedom, more opportunity, and more liberty for more people than has ever taken place anywhere in the history of the world in any country. And we need to have a firm understanding of that so that we know what we need to preserve. We know what we need to take up for and make sure that it is kept solid, kept buttressed by our education system, where our colleges and universities know what really made them what they are and how they even developed into solid, useful universities in the first place. If it hadn't been for the Western culture and the Western heritage, our colleges and universities would never have been built in the first place the way they are as protectors of freedom and a lighthouse to the world. We need to understand deeply and solidly how all of this ties together to protect liberty and freedom, or else we will no longer be able to be guaranteed to protect our liberties and freedoms. How did we arrive at the three branches of government that we have now based on the Constitution? The Constitution had to be, and the other laws of our land upon which this country was built upon had to come out of laws which were practiced and dealt with and proven to be useful over many centuries. Over many centuries, these laws were developed. Over many centuries, our traditions were developed and proven which ones were good and which ones were not, which ones would succeed and which ones would not. So we have to gain a deep understanding of how all this takes place. It is not going to be easily replaced, nor should it be. We have determined through over 2,000 years, even longer than that a round wheel, as so to speak, when it comes to the way government operates, that a round wheel is going to go further than a square wheel. And that we have that wheel now in place in our form of government. And it is the one that protects freedom and liberty more than any other system that has ever been formed in the history of the world, and protects our country and it provides more freedom and liberty than any other country in the world has ever been able to provide. And so we have to get a firm grip on that and understand. And then we begin to gain the gratitude we need in order to fight for our country and protect our country. It has nothing to do either with the way we will provide full enfranchisement for all the races of people in our country. That's something else entirely different. Our form of government provides for freedom and liberty and justice for all. It's always been that way. This other thing was outside of the system. The development of disenfranchisement of certain races of people, even the slavery system and all of it, was outside of the original intent of the way we formed our government, and was a totally adjunct and a totally juxtaposition and an unfortunate situation, but it has nothing to do with what our form of government can provide for all of its citizens. We only had to come to the point of recognizing that every citizen, every human being on the face of the earth is equal and is worthy of being a part of the democratic system, be a part of our republic, and be a part of all of our laws and system of government, and part of our Constitution, being a full member of every resource, worthy of every resource, every opportunity, as any other citizen has to be. But that had to be formed in a different evolution. That was in a different evolution of ideas. The government was formed upon a firm foundation with all the correct ideas, and then certain businesses in the South and other places developed this system outside of what the original government was set out to provide. And so it's just like outlaws in the West or anything else, crime families that have formed, the mafia, or anything else you could look at, there exists in the United States of America, but they are outside. They exist outside the system of government. And that's the way we have to view everything, when it comes to this so-called inferior races, the belief that there is an inferior race. That developed outside of the real intent of the government in an entirely different system. And so as we have begun to undo that, then we are able to then free up the system to take care of all of our people, all of our citizens. But it is not a matter of tearing down Western civilization or tearing down our form of government, but only learning how to make it applicable to everyone, and make the statements and the sentences and the wording and the intent and the content and everything else in the Constitution and in our laws apply to everyone. And that's coming to realize the value of every human being, and that every human being has a soul, and every human being has that divine spark, has that divine creativity, has that ability to be much more than we see, has that ability to grow to heights unknown, has that ability to climb the mountaintop, look over and see the promised land of freedom, look over and see the promised land of a wonderful country. Every citizen has that within their soul. It's already within their soul, and has always been, and always will be, and we have to come out of the darkness and understand how that our system of government is going to work for every citizen alike in the future. And we will not be abusing our system by trying to cover up certain parts of what our heritage is and what it really teaches and what was really fought for. Just like we fought during the Middle Ages to overcome the feudal system and overcome the servitude, free the slaves. It dates clear back to the time of Moses of bringing the slaves out of Egypt. all of these systems were there and intact in the Western civilization from the very beginning. And it is unfortunate that certain people have strayed from the real understanding of what it was all about and how it was developing. But all the while, from that nutshell, it was developing into the glorious time when every human being on the face of the earth would be free. Free of everything from communism to other governments that abused their system by taking on slaves. And so the Western heritage is for everyone. It is for everyone to understand what has been formed and what has been cultivated and what has actually taken place and been achieved. What has been achieved by Western civilization in its history and how it has come to the point now where anyone that is not free, anyone that is still disenfranchised, has the right to march, has the right to demonstrate, has the right to protest, has the right to seek and demand full justice and full freedom. That is there because of the Western civilization. You know, it's there. The freedoms to do that are there because of the Western civilization. Had that not developed the way it was, had we not developed the type of government we had, then people would not be free to demand change. They would not be free to demand that we throw off the systems of things like Jim Crow and things like disenfranchised laws, laws that disenfranchise certain people, ways of looking at things that disenfranchise and disadvantage, cause a disadvantage to certain classes of people. It may have taken a while for us to see that, for us to educate ourselves to the point and develop the light we have to the point of seeing that that is true, but it has come about, and we are now seeing that and moving toward it, and we owe that to Western civilization. And the more the true principles of Western civilization are taught, the more everyone, black, white, brown, any Asian, any other race, the more they will all see that as we begin to more and more appreciate what has actually been accomplished by Western civilization. Not what some uneducated people decided they could get away with that was actually against Western civilization, but which they sought to go ahead and do anyway in their unenlightened condition and their uneducated situation, just for business purposes. People devoid of real light and real understanding decided to do. That has nothing to do with, and we see now that it didn't undermine Western civilization. But in fact, we were able to throw that off and move on into the view, into the full view of that lighthouse on the hill which this country can be. And the more we move toward that light, the longer and more solid, our country will be, and the longer it will last, and the more we'll understand how to overcome all of our problems. Overcoming all of our problems by respecting every citizen of the country and providing full rights to every citizen of the country, providing full enfranchisement and full resources to every citizen of the country. And so I'm praying and hoping that everyone will gain that real vision of what is going to make this country great and strong into the future. And I'm going to pray now that each and every citizen will gain the vision of the great land we can be. Gain the vision of that great light of a city set upon a hill, a nation set upon a mountaintop, shining this light into the world. Will gain a vision, will overcome everything, all oppression, depression, or obsession with false ideas. And that every citizen will overcome everything from blues to being in the valley or being in have a low feeding, a low energy, everything. I pray that every citizen of the country will have greater hope, greater freedom, greater joy, true peace, true happiness in every sense of the word. I pray right now in the name of thy Holy Son, Jesus, Father, that every citizen will have true joy and happiness in their life. And if anyone is sick, that they will be healed by the power of God right now in the name of thy Holy Son, Jesus. Heal every disease, curable and incurable. Give light to every soul. Give creativity to every soul. Heal everybody of any form of leftover darkness. Lead on toward the light, Father. In the name of thy Holy Son, Jesus, may you inspire us to lead on toward the light. And now I pray all these things in the name of thy Holy Son, Jesus. Amen, amen, and amen.